All right, we are going to be subtracting decimals now. It is just like adding our decimals with the exception of it being subtraction. Do you remember the biggest thing that I said over and over and over again in my last video? If you said line up the decimal point, you were right. I'm going to say it again. Don't forget to line up the decimal point. I'm going to highlight this, put stars around it. Line up the decimal point. Even though that is so silly, we still have people that forget. So how much longer did Bob's hamster run on day 1 than day 4? So we need to find the difference between day 4 and day 1. Okay, so this is actually not a correct question. We are going to do this question here. Okay, so day 1 minus day 4. And this one was just, I'm not going to do that question right now. And we are going to line up the decimals and subtract. We do not need to add any 0 to the heroes because they have the same number of decimal places. So we're going to subtract. We have to borrow just like we would with whole numbers. We treat it just like a whole number. The only difference is we line up the decimal points. That is the difference. All right, our next one. Melissa and Melanie raced around the track to see who could run the farthest. Melissa ran 2 891 thousandths, and Melanie ran 1 and 962 thousandths. How much further did she run? So we need to line up the decimal points. Okay. I have to borrow, go next door. Hey neighbor, can I have some sugar? 2. Oh, bring down the decimal point, Miss Ray. Have to go next door. Hey neighbor, I need some sugar. And that would be our answer. Okay, and I checked it. So actually, let's move down here. I'm going to move this one down here. Okay, now we're going to line up the decimal points. Remember, the decimal point is at the end, so it's going to be 25 point, and then I'm going to write my decimal points to line up. This is when I would add 0, the hero, and subtract. So I have to go all the way over here and borrow, and then my neighbor has to have some, and then my neighbor has to borrow some. So now my neighbor has to borrow some. We have a lot of borrowing going on here. So 10 minus 3 is 7, 9 minus 6 is 3, 9 minus 0 is 9. Bring down the decimal. 14 minus 7 is 7, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So that would be our answer. So we remember, line up the decimal point and 0 the hero. Those are the two things that you need to remember.